Ford, a powerhouse on both sides of the Atlantic, but what exactly does that mean? A well-oiled and focused machine, or the inventor of the pony car that happens to sell a hell of a lot of pickup trucks? So Ford.
Yes, sir.
3 strengths on Ford right now.
3 strengths on Ford. Trucks, and pickup trucks.
End of episode.
Right, we're done here.
Who's going to argue with that?
Right.
Okay, give me 3 weaknesses.
3 weaknesses. Gosh, Ford, I think, lacks courage. They're not a leader in the way that GM does.
That's the dark horse thing, yeah. Okay.
Like we were talking about with General Motors. When GM is on the ball, they're the best in the world.
Absolutely.
Small block Chevy, catalytic convert. Courage, though, because for a lot of their things, they don't have the courage to act quickly. GM came out with all of these things I just mentioned, the catalytic converter, small block Chevy, but Ford seems to be more conservative. They will limp along and not fix things as well, like the power shift transmission. What an absolute boondoggle that was for them. It completely soiled people's reputations for their small cars. Lincoln could be a negative potentially.
Oh, Lincoln is definitely a negative.
That is, they were doing so well. They had the Continental they came out with, the Navigator, this is a few years back.
Excuse me, the Continental, it's a positive?
I think it was not. It was a step in the right direction,
I
sir.
mean, if you lived in a memory care facility, that'd be a great car to have.
It wasn't a terrible car. Was it
It
what it
wasn't
should have
bad.
been?
It was just horrible.
It should have been. Well, this is the controversy.
It was unattractive. There was no vision in the design. The only thing that was mildly interesting was the door handles,
Yes.
and at that they were ugly.
I think it was a first step toward a better future. The Navigator got redesigned roughly the same time, which I think was a very good
Great
success.
job. Aviator even better.
Aviator is even better. It's a smaller version of the
And
Navigator.
the refreshes of those are all good. The design is good.
Correct. Have you driven the Nautilus?
No.
I drove
I have a reputation to protect.
You're not at the memory care ward just yet. Rapidly approaching. I drove one at the Midwest Automotive Media Association Spring Rally. They do it every year.
Not on the track.
Not on the track. No, it was a street drive, which
That
is
would be fun.
It would be. No, not with the suspension tuning, which was awful. Awful. The worst suspension tuning I've ever experienced was like the body-on-frame Kia Sorento. If you've ever driven one of those,
Oh,
it
that was
somehow
bad.
managed
the
to
Lego
be
and the
both
Sorento was awful.
oppressively harsh, but also wallowy at the same time. So that's like the low bar for suspension tuning that I've ever experienced. This was just the next step above that. It was horrible. Like, whoever engineered it didn't do their job. They have to send it back, retune the entire chassis because it was just a mess.
I would normally ask you which one of these you want to dive into, but I want to dive into Lincoln.
Okay.
I want to get into
Let's
this.
start at the top and work.
Okay, let's start at the top. I don't hate Fords. My audience knows I'm not a Ford guy. My father lost, but is a Ford man. I love him dearly, but he has poor choices in some of his cars. Now, granted, we are a GM Ford household up there, so it's not all bad. It's a house divided.
Yeah.
They are a brand that shouldn't exist anymore.
You think you would go so far as to say we should kill them off?
I would kill off Lincoln. I would kill off Infiniti.
Yeah, definitely Infiniti. If you want Lincoln to look healthy, compare them to Infiniti.
Absolutely. There's no amount of product that will change Lincoln at this point, and I'll tell you why. Lincoln is a brand that is not aspirational. It's not something that people want. They don't wake up and say, I want a Lincoln. They've become a payment company. They are a finance company is what they are. So if I'm cross-shopping a near luxury vehicle and I want a mid-size crossover that has cooled seats for $500 a month, guess what? You have 2 choices.
Okay.
Lincoln and?
Infiniti?
Exactly. They're payment companies.
Yes.
Where if you want a mid-size crossover from Mercedes, you know what? So you guys don't know this about him. He is as cheap, if not cheaper than I am.
Now that's saying something.
We both live a debt-free life. That's actually how we first kind of really got on. Mercedes, the same vehicle, size, execution, costs $20,000 more, and the lease payment is $1,300 a month. And that's the market telling Lincoln no one buys your vehicles. No one wants your vehicles. And as a result, they're taking money away from projects that Ford could otherwise execute really well. And this is where I'll get to, I think, the key strength of Ford. Out of all the 3 we're going to talk about, they are the most focused. Like you said, consistent. I would say focused. They're the ones that said, look, we're getting rid of cars. Whether I agreed with it or not, we're getting rid of cars. But then they doubled down and said, we're going to focus in pickup trucks, we're going to focus in small and mid-size crossovers, and we're going to do electric focused, but in the way we do electric. Meaning, we're not going to jump right into the mid-size crossover. Guess what? We're going to come out with a pickup truck. And they pushed that one to market, and it looked like it was doing really well. And it was.
Talking about the Lightning.
Lightning.
Yeah.
But that's where we get into a larger
That's a whole
discussion
other
about
discussion.
EV.
Yeah.
But for me, Lincoln is two sides of the same coin.
You want to Malala it because he was contemplating killing Lincoln, wasn't he?
They've gotten too far behind the eight ball, and even Cadillac is now so much farther ahead, even with all those foibles of electric. But Lincoln, like, people aspire to own an Escalade.
Correct.
People aspire to own, granted, only 500 a year, but they aspire to own a CT5E Blackwing. People aspire to drive a Lyric. No one aspires to drive any Lincoln.
Here is Dr. Craig's prescription for saving Lincoln, at least in my fantasy world. May not work.
And we are in your
right?
Ford
Maybe
fantasy
we are
world right now, yeah.
Okay, I think Lincoln needs to embrace its heritage as a mid-century modern automotive brand. There are precious few cars that are more beautiful than, say, a 63 Continental.
61.
Okay, I like the 63 better, but 61, gorgeous.
Not a Ford guy, but I agree with you.
Absolutely stunning. Just like, if you could produce that today and make it like safe so you don't immediately die in a fender bender, just do it. Just build that.
There's a guy in my neighborhood that dailies one of those and puts two child seats in the back.
Yeah.
Like, I love
Like,
that guy.
that it's-
Father of the year.
Put the suicide doors on the car. Sorry,
Absolutely.
rear hinge coach doors. Stand for something. This is your heritage. Design, you go back even further to the Zephyr. This is what I would do. Embrace that mid-century modern design, which we just saw kind of Cadillac dabbling with the, what was the convertible they just showed?
It's like Cielo or something like that.
Yeah. Beautiful car.
Beautiful.
Heritage yellow paint job. And they've got this like Art Deco wood trim inside. But what I would do at Lincoln, I would bring back the town car. I would build it, hear me out, I would build it as a body-on-frame vehicle on the F-150 chassis, and I would put an independent rear suspension in it. I would make it the size and give it the presence of a Rolls-Royce Phantom, and I would charge you $100,000 for it. With a gorgeous interior as well, suicide doors, ship it. Now you have a statement vehicle that's unlike anything else out there, and I want to see it. Let's make it happen.
Okay. I'm a little concerned in that I actually like your idea.
So, okay, I've sold one person on that.
I like the idea.
We're going to trade in
I do.
911 for Lincoln town car.
How much
Gotcha,
how
I'll put
much
you
you going
down.
to give me for the GT3?
Well, probably a few $100,000.
So I like your idea.
Yeah.
But there's one fly in the ointment.
It's never going to happen.
Well, no. Put that aside. Okay. Who would spend $100,000 for a Lincoln sedan?
Remember when the Chrysler 300 came out? People were clamoring to get that car.
That was a $28,000 car.
But it was, you're correct.
Excuse me, $2,005.
Yeah.
So that's a $60,000 car today.
Correct. But this is aspirational. You want it. People will want it because it's exclusive. People will be attracted to the design. It has presence.
But you can't keep a brand alive on one car. Like I would agree. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's your NSX, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to sell the huddled masses?
Correct. You're going to have a bunch of crossovers. You're going to have a Nautilus with suspension that doesn't suck. You're going to keep selling your Navigator. You're going to keep selling your Aviator. But this is your Halo vehicle.
Okay. Every car, I don't care if it's your body-on-frame town car or if it's your totally new... they showed that Ford Capri. God, terrible.
Yeah,
like what in God's name were they thinking? And I don't want to take the Lord's
I'm
name in
uncomfortable
vain,
you even brought it up, honestly.
Even that horrendous thing, it's a $3 billion investment for any one car.
Yeah.
So why take that money and make it over to Lincoln, even though you're basically making a derivation of a Ford product?
Sure.
Why put all that money, which really isn't getting you anywhere, when you could take that money and you could really do small cars well and make a small car, make a performance version of a small car, extend out the platform, make really competitive mid-size crossovers. Why wouldn't you take that money and basically the opportunity cost is what I'm saying.
That's a very valid question, because you can shut Lincoln down entirely because it's not doing well, or you have to double down and invest more, right?
I'm going to give you a business idea.
A business idea? All right, let me turn to a fresh page here.
You are going to be the Jonathan Ward of the Lincoln and Ford world. So what you're going to do is you're going to buy F-150s, and you're going to make a bespoke-built modern Lincoln Town Car body that you put on the Ford F-150 chassis, and you're going to be like Jonathan Ward at Icon or Singer, like Andy at Singer, where you're going to sell them for $500,000 a piece.
Well, I'll be able to get the first ones out the door about 21, 22. So I'll take orders.
Okay, in all seriousness, back to the point.
Yeah, Lincoln.
So let's look at what Ford did really well.
Yes.
Absolute, no other way to describe it, stroke of genius, Maverick.
Oh, 100%.
Stroke of genius.
I told you this before we recorded. I reviewed a Maverick probably 4 years ago back when I was at CNET. It was the 2-liter, the EcoBoost all-wheel drive. I was blown away by how good that vehicle was. I'm still talking about it years later. How good it was for such a comparatively low price. It was inexpensive, but nothing was cheap about it. It drove well, it was comfortable, it was quiet. The seats are better than in the Lyric.
I'm a little bit disappointed in you because I thought you were frugal with your money. I thought you watched your pennies.
Yeah?
My experience with the Maverick was with the $23,000 one.
Well, I just drive what they gave me.
And I was blown away.
Yeah.
I felt that, put aside that it has a bed, probably the best $23,000 four-wheeled conveyance out there. And the biggest surprise to me was the interior. I mean, is it the interior of a bespoke-built Maybach? No. But is it a $23,000 interior? No. Because they put in some interesting color. They've done some design tricks. The screen was the only thing that was bad.
The screen was 100%. It didn't fit the space. There's a little cubby next to it.
No.
Yeah.
But everyone said, you can't build a unibody pickup truck. No one wants that. And all they did was basically take an Escape, put this body on it, and they still can't build enough of them. But it didn't translate into mid-size crossovers. Escapes, they sell well because they sell them to payment buyers. Like Galpin, the people who I bought my car from,
You're good friends with them,
Yeah, biggest Ford dealer in the world.
Yeah.
They print money on Escapes because there's all this lease incentive.
Yeah.
Ford Bronco Sport, same thing, lease incentive. But in Vistas and Trax, you get in line, you got to pay full price, $23,000. So I feel like what they should be doing is take the stroke of genius from the Maverick and put that, because what those cars, the reason why they sell, yes, they're $23,000, but the Maverick, the Invista, and the Trax all sell because of design. Maybe more usability design with the Ford.
I think the Maverick sells because it's functionally the only compact pickup truck or small pickup truck. I don't know that the interior volume or whatever you want to count.
Yeah. I was saying usability, you're saying functional.
Yeah.
But I think Ford, where they're missing the boat, they got to really get the design on small vehicles. They got to dial it up 10 notches, and I think they could see the same success that General Motors did in that area.
So what would you like to see happen? This is the point of the episode where I turn it around to you.
Yeah, not yet. We're not done yet.
But what would you like to see with, say, the Escape and the Bronco Sport that they don't currently have? Because those are fundamentally the same vehicle, and so is the Maverick.
I would say that...
But what design would you change to make those sell better?
I would continue to make the Escape a conservative design because you're basically selling celery. That's what those are. They're rolling celery. But they need to be more audacious with the Bronco Sport, like they were with the full-size Bronco.
Yeah.
I think they need to get to that point.
A little more pumped up, a little more rugged, a little bit more in your face.
Yeah, it's got to be, like, maybe give up a little volume, but let's raise the transaction price a bit. But you're still using the same platform. And this is where I think Ford is unusually good about their investments. Because you look at a Maverick, what did they really have to invest to make it? Really just the body, because you already had the platform. And here's the secret no one knows. The Bronco, what did they have to do there? Basically build it at the Ranger factory.
The Ranger factory, correct.
And they're still printing money on this. This is where I have a huge amount of respect for Ford, and my audience knows this about me. Maybe I don't like Ford cars, but I have huge respect for the F-150. Yeah, they're shrewd. They're also being like, you and I, a little bit behind the scenes, these people won't know this. Like, be honest.
Mm-hmm.
We go inside all the companies.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk into the Ford campus, it feels different. Like, you feel like a Stepford wife. Like, it's a
little bit,
yeah, it's way
the
like,
energy's different.
the hair in the back of my neck stands up. I want to get the hell out of here. I don't feel like down home country.
Not like the GM Tech Center or something. Oh, historical buildings, a beautiful reflection pond. No.
Dude, total local aside.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Alamir?
To what?
In Dearborn, Alamir?
I don't think so.
Oh my God.
Restaurant, I'm assuming?
It is the food of the gods.
Okay.
If you like Mediterranean,
Okay, I mean...
this is, it's owned by a Lebanese family.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Like, unreal.
Okay.
They do this
try
like
this.
cheese appetizer thing. Anyway, I'm going off. I just went there last night.
Yeah.
So,
But you're saying with Escape, or rather Bronco Sport, you want to see more rugged design, bring that transaction price up.
we have proven, I shouldn't say we. You know who's proven? Genesis,
Mm-hmm.
Hyundai,
Mm-hmm.
Kia. More Hyundai and Kia have proven that if you get the design right, and you go way out on the edge, so you're not trying to be all things to all people,
Mm-hmm.
that's what sells. Even in mass market cars, like the new Santa Fe, front 3/4, oh my God, gorgeous. Rear 3/4, I think that was not the varsity league that designed the back end of that
Yeah.
car.
That's
But
the same
that's why it sells.
This is the Ford episode, but we did not touch on this earlier with GM. I was just in the Lyric, and I think you had the same analysis that I did, the rear.
Oh,
Three of the sides, gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
And then the back, I'm like, I wouldn't say ugly, but I'm just like, what's going on here?
This is
What
why I'm not
happened?
excited about the Celestiq.
Yeah, the
'Cause
back end.
The back end is like, number one, you're making it a hatchback. Like, this is a way aspirational vehicle. It doesn't need to be practical.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Anyway, this is the Ford episode. So there's a lot of great thinking inside of Ford, and I'd like to see more of it, not just in F-150s. I need to bring. I can't believe I forgot this. The Mustang, and not what you're thinking. Not like, oh my God, Mustang, yay! No. I respect Mustangs. My father has a Mustang.
Okay.
It's got an S550 50th anniversary.
Okay.
You have an S550, right?
Just an EcoBoost.
Yeah,
because it was
beautiful
cheap.
color.
Lightning blue.
Love the color. Anyway, here's my problem with the Mustang now. Mustangs, to me, they're apple pie. I did an episode. I don't know who's going to see, if they're going to see this one first or the Ford episode first, but I did a whole look into living with a Mustang over 3 generations. And what I came to was the Mustang is In-N-Out Burger on 4 wheels. It's great.
Yeah.
But all you get is a burger and a shake. That is it.
Yeah.
If you want the chicken sandwich, you cannot get it. If you want the wings, you cannot have this.
Got to go elsewhere.
But if you want a really good burger, you buy a Mustang. Here's the problem. When I go to In-N-Out Burger, my burger with the meal, the whole thing, still is $8.13 in California.
Okay.
Okay? I am not willing to pay $67,000 for a Mustang convertible.
No.
That's what was given to me.
No.
The base price is $52.
Yeah.
But the minute you got to have the brakes.
You want the premium package.
You got to have.
See,
the
I wouldn't get the brakes or whatever.
You
I
need
don't-
the brakes.
performance.
The brakes
I don't
are
care.
garbage otherwise.
But I'm literally never going to the track.
But
One thing I complain about, people buy high performance cars and they get the carbon ceramic brakes that inevitably cost like 10 grand or more, right? Yeah. These people are literally never going to go to the track. They're going to have a worse experience because these brakes are going to squeal when they're cold. They're not going to feel good. The pedal feels going to be bad. And it's going to cost a young fortune to replace them if you ever have to do pads and rotors. And for what?
Can I?
Maybe resale value is better.
Can I offer you a counterpoint?
Please do. I would love a legitimate counterpoint.
This is not a Ford counterpoint, but this is a counterpoint to what you just said. I felt the same thing.
Really?
I was exactly the same way.
But did you get the brakes?
And when I was speccing my car, people who've seen my show for long know Achim is a friend of mine. I called him and we went through the spec to build the car. And we get to the point of like, hey, carbon ceramic rotors. Absolutely not, he said. Like, that's the only thing he was so adamant on.
Really?
He was like, don't you dare. We made the biggest metallic rotors on any production car for your car. If you do this, I will be personally insulted. That's what he told me. But now that I own the car, he's wrong. And
You
know
wish you got the fancy brakes.
and it's a superficial reason.
Dust? Brake dust?
It breaks my back to clean the wheels. I will
You need,
pay,
you need someone to do it for you.
but I'm a cheapskate.
I know
I'll
that.
pay the 10 grand.
But you won't pay the $5 to pay the
Well, because
teenager.
here's why. Because I'm going to get
Kid.
the 10 grand back on the resale.
That's true.
That's why.
That's true.
Okay,
And maybe
so-
more than that, too.
No, probably not.
See, the thing
50% of them go out with the carbon ceramics.
the solution to this is very simple. Drum brakes. Drum brakes contain all that dust. I've got them on here. Ford called them Magic Action king-sized brakes. They're self-energizing.
In our culture war that you guys have been seeing play out on your news, they refer to a mind virus. This is what it looks like.
Corrupting you,
Yes.
right?
Okay, so back to Ford. So
Yes.
I think I've made my case. What else are we missing on Ford here? Because I feel like there's a lot there. There's a lot of meat on the bone.
There is. We talked about Maverick, Bronco Sport. I want to talk about Lightning next, and maybe Mach-e a little bit since
Okay.
you brought up Mustang. But first I want to ask you a question. Jim Hackett, not a popular executive, I
No,
don't
it
think,
wasn't
at
a
Ford.
pocket. He was as exciting as paint.
And, well, he sold furniture.
Yeah.
So what can you expect, right? But we have the Escape, we have the Bronco Sport, which I would argue are pretty good products, and of course the Maverick, which is based on the same bones as those two vehicles. Those were developed during Hackett's reign. Is that Hackett's legacy? Should he be viewed in a better light because of those vehicles?
I don't think you're gonna like my answer, but I don't.
Well, I don't have an axe to grind
believe-
either way.
I don't believe. I don't think anything bad about him.
Yeah.
Again, those cars were all celery, and Hackett I don't think was there long enough to put his stamp on Ford. So he doesn't have a legacy at Ford.
Okay.
It sounds bad, but he just doesn't have a legacy.
That's a fair enough analysis.
Where like I think Mark Fields had a legacy. I think
Mark Fields?
he got screwed in the deal. I thought he was a visionary guy, and just he was there at the wrong time.
And Jack Nasser has a legacy too.
Jack Nasser does have a legacy. Probably not a great one.
I wouldn't think so.
I think Farley's doing a great job. I think
Yeah.
this is a great. Like you asked me, who would I replace at General Motors?
Yep.
I wasn't joking about Bob should come in and be the interim CEO, but the spirit of it means it's a car company.
Correct.
We need somebody that's into cars
Yeah.
running the company. That's how you get these legendary visionary products like a Maverick. I know it's not exciting. It's a pickup truck. It's
But it
small.
is exciting because it's affordable and it's
Yeah.
good.
Like
It's
we have
very
a
good.
mutual friend, 28-year-old single girl, and she bought one. She gave up a Jeep Wrangler for it. Like loves the thing.
Yeah.
So I would want a car guy running it, and this is why. You see what's happening at Ford. Like, come on, Mustang GTD, how cool is that? Like, even though it's a Canadian car, how cool is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to your points.
Okay, so we have the two EVs I want to talk about. The Mach-e. It's been
Okay.
out a few years now.
Decent car.
They had every opportunity to screw that thing up.
They did.
And it's still a competitive EV today, several years after it came out.
Well,
In
remember
fact,
when it
Ben
first-
Sanders bought one, a video producer I've worked with at several
Okay, I
jobs.
disagree with this. Ben Sanders gave a Pontiac G8 for this.
it
He
was-
should be taken out to the woodshed.
It was time to get rid of the
If you're a Yellowstone fan, let's take him to the train station.
I've not seen that show, but that
People
sounds
will know what I'm talking
ominous.
about. It
I'm
is
sure
ominous.
they will. But he's had one. The Mach-e came out of the gate very strong, and it's still quite a competitive product.
When it
which
came
is
out of the
shocking.
gate, let's clarify the numbers. The Tesla Model 3 and the Y were the biggest ones, and still are.
Yeah.
Huge margin.
Yeah.
But the Mach-e was the only one that actually got close.
Correct.
That never, and to this day, hasn't happened again. Granted, the Mach-e's way down here.
Correct. It's Tesla, and then,
Yeah.
Ford, we're the number 2 selling EV brand.
Tesla is a perfect example of when you're able to outlive the big guys and actually execute and become a big guy, and now you've paid for all the tooling, now you can turn around and, I know I shouldn't be cursing, you can shit on the doorstep of all your competitors. And that's what he does. Every time they get kind of close,
Yep.
he's like, okay, I'm going to drop the price 10% on my
Yep.
cars.
Yep.
And Mach-e,
Yeah.
they are the unfortunate recipient of the shit.
Yeah.
Correct analogy?
I think so. Yeah, Tesla is the EV industry, essentially, based
Yeah.
on sales.
But also because they have a proper charging experience. But again, we're getting off the
Which
plantation.
Ford was the first to tap into, to be able
Smart.
to use the NSCS
Very smart.
or
I
SE
recently drove a
3400.
Cybertruck.
Tell me about that, because I want to talk about Lightning, too.
I have a separate episode on. You
Oh,
can
we're
guys
gonna do
click
this.
on this link. You can check out an episode. I did that episode with Nathan. from
Okay,
TFL
because they
Club.
bought one,
They
right?
bought one and they put the most hideous wrap on it possible. Actually, it's not hideous. I like that it's an American flag, but the logic behind it, I'm a little bit suspect on.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, so Lightning, let's talk about that.
I think it's a very good product. I really like the
is.
Lightning a lot. I do. Yes, it's heavy. Yes, it doesn't have the most range if you're going to tow with it, which we did a whole
Nothing
video
has
on.
range
Well,
if you
that's
tow, yeah.
exactly. So don't go into there expecting this to be some
I'm going to pause
cross-country
you there.
vehicle.
Tell the audience what your findings were from your episode.
I got to remember, like back a year and a half now. I think we saw a roughly 50% range reduction. We were towing a Tesla Model 3 on a U-Haul car trailer, and I think it was somewhere around 7,000 pounds of weight.
Wow.
So I think the truck can tow up to 10 grand. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, because I probably am, but I think it can do 10 grand, and we were at about 7, and we got somewhere around 50%, which shouldn't be a shock with an EV.
That's not just a Ford issue, though.
No.
I mean, let's be honest. You do
Not
that
at all.
with a
That's
Cybertruck.
so.
same
The thing
happens.
is, like, if you're hauling horse trailers, if you're moving gravel or heavy equipment for a living, you ain't getting an EV. You're gonna go get a Power Stroke. You're gonna get the Cummins. You're gonna get the Duramax, and that's what you're gonna do, because you just can't do it with an EV. It's not there. But probably like 75% of the jabronis driving around in a full-size truck, a crew
Jabronis.
cab truck.
It's a very Michigan term.
Is it? I
Yeah.
thought it was more New Jersey, but I don't know. The folks that are driving around in these crew cab trucks because they don't want to be seen in a Camry or
Yeah.
something, right? They're functionally just using it as a family car and
Okay.
maybe towing once a year.
Okay.
Like, they would be better served probably by the Lightning than they would the combustion-powered model.
Okay, let's do a callback.
Okay?
You just proved my point. I said I want something audacious.
Yes.
And you agreed, or you just stated, that people are buying pickup trucks and using
Correct.
like Camrys. Why?
Because they want...
Audacious.
Correct. Yeah.
Just proved my point.
Okay.
Okay, so Lightning, can I weigh in on this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's your show.
It's a great truck. I drove, Roman bought one. I drove
Yes.
his.
Yeah.
And we used it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm driving on like the Ford first drive. It was, no, we used it in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
Was impressed, but you know the thing I'm most impressed about? The same thing I'm impressed with the Maverick. Supple ride. Amazing ride quality. Like of a luxury car. A Maverick has the ride quality of a near luxury car.
Correct. I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
And this
Shocked.
has the ride quality of your body-on-frame town car. That's
We got to
what
be
it does.
smoother for the town car.
We do, absolutely.
I
And we
want to
need air
see it
ride.
doing this when you park it and get out. I want it to
I want a bench seat.
bench seat,
Absolutely
optional
bench.
bench seat, or standard bench,
Standard
optional
bench seat.
buckets,
Yes.
and column.
Oh, without a doubt.
There's
but
nothing
chrome.
more satisfying than dropping that thing into gear.
And it's got to be mechanical.
Correct.
I don't want this BMW
Nope.
crap.
Nope.
Okay.
It's got to be.
This is a business
See,
opportunity
you're
for you.
starting. We're checking the boxes.
We're
for
doing
you.
it. I'm not trading my car, but great. So, from a product point of view, excellent,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yes.
Ride quality, excellent. But the thing that I think they shock people with, here's a pickup truck, the work one, $40,000.
I mean, but that didn't happen.
Hold on a minute. Then it went from 40 to 50 something,
Yes.
and they never delivered them. Now, they got acres of them,
Well,
and they're discounting the crap out.
and they're 70 grand if you want the XLT or whatever with the big battery pack, which
It's
you basically
stupid.
need.
But think about it for the jabroni you're talking about. When I say jabroni, I'm thinking about like the white van man, the guy who's driving, the plumber, the wood shopper guy, whatever. The guy's doing cabinets.
Sure.
If your business is established,
Yep.
okay, so you're not the guy just starting out. Your business is established. You've got a fleet of vehicles, and you have a shop. 40 grand, and you put in chargers in your shop.
It's pretty compelling.
It's not just compelling; it's game changing.
Yeah.
Because you pay 40 grand for the truck, you're not paying for gas, and how far are you really going?
Precisely. Same with the e-Transit. Everybody complained, oh, the range is too small. What is it, 116 or something it came out with? But Ford was like, hey, we surveyed our customers. We know with telemetry data how far they actually drive. And this works for X percentage of those buyers. If somebody needs more, they could buy the combustion powered.
But you don't have the volume that you'd have in this pickup truck.
True. But
And
it's the same logic.
Same logic.
Same idea.
And no one's going to confuse me with an EV acolyte like you.
Well, I'm not.
I am not a believer in the the religion of EV.
Oh, no,
I'm not a
neither
believer.
am I. I work for an EV publication, but we
Yeah.
are very upfront and we try to be very frank that EVs may not be the right solution for you. They're
For most
great
people.
for a lot of people. I would hazard to say half of American drivers might be better served by an EV.
I think it's very aggressive. You got to be a homeowner.
Let's say a third.
Homeowner, not a
Let's say
renter.
a third.
Got to have a charger. But in this case, where you're a medium-sized tradesman,
Yep.
and you have a fleet of these things, we're talking. I'd say this is a 30% reduction in of operating your fleet. That's why I think it's a genius move. Outside of that, I think anybody who wants an electric truck, I think they want something audacious, and I'm going to go Cybertruck.
Silverado. I drove that at the first drive they had locally here. I went into it expecting it to be better than the Lightning in every way. I ended up liking the Lightning better.
Why?
The Silverado is better than the Lightning in many ways. It charges a lot faster, DC faster. It's a much bigger battery pack for more range, more horsepower and torque. Other unique features with the mid-gate. So you can really transform the truck into something super versatile. Lightning doesn't have that. It's just a regular F-150 bed.
Yeah.
So a lot of advantages to the Chevy, but it's so heavy. It's so ponderous. It's 9,000 pounds or more.
So it's effectively the same platform as the Hummer.
Correct. Correct. The Ultium platform, which we talked about before. But yes, so heavy. 24-inch wheels
Standard?
available, but who needs 20? That's 2 feet. Who needs that? Nobody. And the ride quality suffers. It's ponderous. It doesn't feel good. Yes, it has Super Cruise. Yes, which is fantastic. Yes, it charges very quickly. Yes, the range should be pretty good, but I wouldn't want one. I'd rather have the Lightning. Plus, the Chevy's expensive too. I think it was $90-something thousand.
Well, hold on a minute. What?
There's a lot to unpack.
Like dollars or shekels?
Dollars. I forget the exact price
Like
of the one I was
greenbacks.
testing. Yeah, I think it was 94 or
Wait,
something.
the base price?
Not the base price, the one I tested, which is the RST First Edition,
Oh, you know,
which is the one they're really bringing out.
I saw that car at the Chicago Auto Show, and Andre had to pick me up off the floor when I first saw it.
I believe it.
I mean, again, we've talked about we are both cheapskates, and we wouldn't spend that kind of money for a pickup truck. That's crazy.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So what's the upshot? How does this play into our Ford discussion?
The Chevy's better on paper in a lot of ways, but the
Ford
Ford's the
is-
better truck, I think.
It's better because of what?
It weighs, I think, 1/3 less. It's more manageable. It's more comfortable. The ride quality is better.
So what you're saying is it's the
Cheaper.
Lotus of the pickup truck, EV pickup truck.
Yes, the Lotus of the EV pickup truck.
Okay, so let's wrap this
Yes.
into, let's bring it back up to a strategic level.
Bring it all together.
Who's better positioned for the next 5 to 10 years, General Motors or Ford, and why?
Gosh, that is a tough question. I'm inclined to say GM
Why?
because I think they finally sorted their Ultium woes out, and that might start to make more sense going forward. They've previewed a lot more electric vehicles. However, they're transitioning, or I should say, not transitioning. What's the term? They're pivoting toward plug-ins now and more combustion vehicles, which I think Ford will be doing the same with. So GM's a little bit bigger. I think they're a bit more advanced on their EV stuff, which will give them advantages going forward. But Ford, I think, is still in a good position. But that's just my prognostication.
So what are 3 things you would say to Ford to change immediately?
What would Ford change immediately? Bring out that body-on-frame town car.
Okay.
Step number 1.
I agree.
No, for Lincoln, embrace your heritage. You have some of the richest heritage in the business. You laugh at me. You laugh at me.
Get rid of Lincoln altogether.
I say live with you. You need a luxury brand. I think you have your mainstream and you have your luxury, and those can coexist very well. You didn't need Mercury, which is why they got rid of them. Ford, keep doing what you're doing for the most part with your pickup trucks. And then I would also say get your quality under control and fix those issues, because they've got because I mentioned Power Shift, which was a huge Charlie Foxtrot, if you will, which they never really got around to fixing. And also they've historically the last few years been very poor on recalls. The Explorer and Aviator launch was a disaster. And you've been building cars for a century. You guys know how to do this. What went wrong? Figure that out and make sure you don't do it again.
The only one I'm going to comment on is the quality problems.
Yes.
I think that's a function of you got to do some house cleaning. You got to get rid of some folks that just, I don't know if it's an engineering thing or if it's a production thing, but you got to do some house cleaning because it's not just the cost of the recall. It's you're not going to get that customer back.
Oh, exactly.
The person that bought that Explorer was probably 50% chance they were new to Ford.
Sure.
And especially
gone.
Ford. They're like, you know what? I'm never buying a Ford again. I'm going back to the Toyota. And they're going to stay
not
with
just Toyota. You're like, oh, I'm going to try GMC this time. I'm going to go get a Honda Pilot instead.
Actually, so my attorney, he too is cheap as his day is long. He doesn't drive fancy cars.
Okay.
And his wife wanted a new car. And she wanted to get a Honda Pilot. And of course, I roll in. I'm like, no. For shame. You should buy American. And I said, buy the Buick Enclave. This is many years ago.
Okay.
They bought one. Literally, like days after the warranty, the axles fell apart, the cylinder, like everything blew up in that car. And the only reason they got some money on it was because I had a connection to GM and said, you need to take care of these people.
You shouldn't have to do business that way.
Yeah.
Nobody should have to do business that way.
And now, what did they buy? A Mazda.
Arguably even worse, potentially, for reliability.
No, reliability. No, CX-5? Come on.
I know Dave Coleman won't appreciate me saying that.
No, he wouldn't. And he probably will run you over with his Miata race car.
Okay.
It'll be a very painful, slow death.
Oh, well, good.
He'll back up.
Not unlike being hit by a Tesla.
Well, that's a quick death.
I mean, but you cheated it. You've got 8.
did.
How many lives do you have left? The cat's at 9.
I got 8 now.
You got 8 left.
I got
okay.
8
I didn't know if
now.
you had any other brushes with that.
No. I was lucky that it went over the hood instead of underneath the car.
If that were a Cybertruck, he wouldn't be with us.
No, if it was a Cybertruck,
You'd
I
been sliced in half.
flown.
You would have been
Because I would
literally
have had a launching pad.
bifurcated.
Oh, terrible. I actually cut myself when I had it, but that's just sort of another thing. Okay, this is the point we turn the episode around to the audience.
Yes. If they're still watching at this point, how long has this been going
on? For you,
on?
they love you.
You interview legitimately interesting people. I am not one of those. I'm sorry.
See, this is where, I normally like to throw this guy under the bus, but what you guys need to understand, he is a good friend of mine. We've known each other for about 15 years, and the reason why we first got together was he was the only other one on the drives that was against debt, and we both live below our means. I've subsequently now found Mark and Jack at Savage Geese. They are
they're cheapskates.
Same.
Okay, good.
No, they don't live above their means. They live way below their means. They run a proper business, no debt, any of that kind of stuff. And this is why we get along. So I have a huge amount of respect for this guy, and that's why he's in front of you. And frankly, that's why they're still watching.
Well, good. I'm glad they made it to the end. It's good for your retention rate on YouTube.
He's talking too much. He doesn't know when to shut up. I just gave him a compliment. So we're going to turn around to the audience. Their SWOT analysis of Ford, but more importantly, who's better positioned for the next 5 to 10 years, GM or Ford, and why? And those who have the best answer, and it will be chosen by Mr. Cole. He's going to weigh in the comments.
Okay.
The one that Mr. Cole likes the answer the best will get this lovely Cole original. Let us know in the comments below or via our social media, Motoman TV on Word, Motoman TV on Word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, if you found this discussion fascinating, I would highly suggest you watch our other discussion, which was about
another Detroit-based automaker. I believe it was General Motors.
General Motors. You can see the episode here. Until we see you in the next episode, be später.